2023 has been a rough year to say the least, especially when you consider the amount of celebrities and incredible talents that we have lost. So let's go over some of those today. Welcome to Beyond the Screen. I'm Nate, and these are top 10 unexpected celebrities who passed away in 2023. Number 10, Angus Cloud. Angus portrayed the universally loved character Fez on the show Euphoria, acting as Rue's dealer, aka Zendaya. Over the summer, the Oakland Fire Department was called to his home in California, where he was found deceased. Angus was only 25 and had recently been suffering from the loss of his father, which a lot of people believe may have led to his passing. Cloud was set to star in several projects in the next few years, as his career had just started thanks to the success of Euphoria. Now, there was some confirmation on exactly what happened to Angus, but honestly, I just don't want to get into it. The details are pretty dark and gory, and the family did ask for privacy. Cloud had a long history with substance control issues, and that is part of the reason that he delivered such an incredible performance on the show, being able to tap into real-life traumas and use them for his character. Many believe he may have had some type of overdose following the passing of his father, but as I said, I don't want to get into it. I'm not going to make any jokes here or say anything to make light of this moment. This dude was an incredible performer, and from what I've been able to read, he was also just a genuinely wonderful person, so rest in peace, Angus. Number 9, Matthew Perry. The most recent tragedy to take place this year was the loss of Matthew Perry, one of the best parts of the show Friends. He did a lot of things in the world of comedy, and I personally know him best as the older version of Zac Efron from 17 Again, an underappreciated movie that definitely deserves a rewatch, and if you haven't seen it, just go watch it right now. Matthew was only 54 when he passed away. Hollywood was shaken to its core. His fellow actors from over the years took to social media to express their condolences and share their heartache. Paul Rudd said that working with Matthew on Friends was one of the best experiences of his career. Matthew's bright energy was on full display whenever he was with his fellow Friends crew. Paul claimed that the set was fueled with love and friendship, something that he was fortunate enough to be a part of for a couple of seasons as Phoebe's husband, Mike Hannigan. Zac Efron recently said that he would be honored to fulfill one of Matthew's final wishes, which was to have Zac play him in a biopic about his life. Zac also said that he would love to do it and pay tribute to the man that he had the utmost respect for. He said that Matthew was a mentor to him, someone that he saw as a man who overcame a ton of real-world hardships to create an impactful career. I'm still waiting for my next check so I can buy his audiobook that Matthew not only wrote, but he narrated himself. He was a truly bright star in the world, and he's going to be missed by everybody. Number 8, Lance Reddick. Good evening, Mr. Wick. Welcome to the Continental. Lance Reddick starred in many TV movies and made small appearances on sitcoms in his early days of acting, but he first broke onto the big screen starring as Anton LaFarge in 1998's Great Expectations, a modernization of Charles Dickens' classic story of the same name, following a painter in New York City pursuing his childhood love. The film starred Ethan Hawke in the lead role, Gwyneth Paltrow, Hank Azaria, Robert De Niro, but it was Lance Reddick that stole the show. He went on to star in several big budget projects over the years, eventually landing a role in the hit TV thriller series The Wire as Cedric Daniels. He starred alongside actors like Keanu Reeves, Denzel Washington, Channing Tatum, but the attention was always drawn to him for every moment he was on screen. Earlier this year, a congestive heart disease took Lance from the world at 61 years old. That's right, this man was in his 60s. Look at his face. Good job. Luckily for us, there were a couple of projects filmed before his passing, including the White Men Can't Jump reboot that's currently on Disney+, and he popped up in a trailer for the upcoming Percy Jackson series, also on Disney+. So if you're a fan, make sure you, get Disney+. Number 7, Paul Reubens. Another celebrity that we lost this year was Mr. Paul Reubens, who a lot of people know as the goofy bike enthusiast Pee Wee Herman. Paul first rose to fame thanks to his character of Pee Wee getting his own big movie in 1985, directed by Tim Burton. The movie was so successful that Pee Wee got a morning show on CBS called Pee Wee's Playhouse. Unfortunately, Paul's reputation was a little tainted in 1991 following an indecent exposure charge after he was caught feeding his geese at a movie theater. But it was the 90s. That wasn't even close to the worst thing to happen that year, and he quickly bounced back into the world of acting, starring in movies like Mystery Men and Blow alongside Johnny Depp. Paul had been fighting a long and difficult battle with cancer, something that nobody was aware of until his passing. Much like Chadwick Boseman, it seems that he just didn't want his final days to be spent surrounded by people preparing for him to go. Instead, he lived his life and went out on his own terms. And as someone someone who grew up with Pee Wee Herman, this one really stung. Number 6, Sinead O'Connor. Sinead has been serenading people with her voice for a long time, first releasing an album in 1987 called The Lion and the Cobra and charted across the globe. Since then, she had a steady career performing in concerts and on talk shows around the world, and in 1992 she was banned from Saturday Night Live for standing in front of a live audience and ripping up a photo of the Pope on stage. Now, there was a reason for this, as she was an activist and was simply trying to protest the Catholic Church because they were doing some pretty shady, gross stuff behind the scenes. Oh, did I say that they were? I mean that they are. The cause of Sinead passing has not been released to the public, and unfortunately many fans are claiming that it may have something to do with struggles with mental health in recent history, as well as her troubled past with family. Regardless of why or how, we are very sad to see another talented artist lost in 2023. Number 5, Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck was a British musician who first began rising to stardom in the early 1970s after forming the band Night Shift. Eventually that band broke up, but Beck went on to have an awesome solo career, eventually landing him 8 Grammy Award wins, the first being Best Rock and Roll Instrumental Performance for Escape, a song from the album Flash. That was to accompany the movie of the same name. While his name may not be familiar to you, his guitar licks most certainly are. Jeff has contributed his talent to several top charting songs over the years, including Bon Jovi's Blaze of Glory solo album. He played lead on Roger Waters' concept album Amused to Death, Red Shoes by Kate Bush, and so many more. In 1992, his former band the Yardbirds was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and famously stated that he wasn't proud of a band that kicked him out. Beck continued to work as a solo artist right up till 2020 when he released a new single album in which he collaborated with Johnny Depp to cover John Lennon's song Isolation. The song came out only 1 month after the events of March 2020, so this cover really hit home for a lot of people. Beck passed away from a bacterial meningitis infection in January of this year, taking both his talent and his passion with him. Number 4, Tina Turner. She was simply the best, better than all the rest, and that is not an exaggeration. Tina Turner is considered one of the original queens of rock and roll. Between the early 1950s and the mid 2000s, Tina Turner was ripping her way through country after country, delivering song after song. What's Love Got to Do with It? Simply the Best, Acid Queen, and those are just some of the songs that we were gifted with during her time as a solo artist, before divorcing her evil ex Ike Turner, who is a menace and I don't like him. The couple would perform together as Ike and Tina, but no one remembers that. They remember Tina. Tina's real name was Anna Mae Bullock. The name Tina was actually something that was forced on her by Ike as a way of controlling her. As a lot of people know now, Ike was absolutely horrible to Tina and did things that I'm not gonna talk about, which is why after so many years of overcoming obstacle after obstacle, it crushed the world when Tina was taken from us at the age of 83 on May 24th of 2023. She'll always be remembered as a pure soul with a voice of gold, and we had so much respect for this woman. She took a name that was meant to bring her down and turned it into a legend. Number 3, David Crosby. While this last name sounds familiar to you, David shares no relation to the hockey legend Sidney Crosby, which is shocking because he had like 6 kids. You'd think one of them would be named Sidney and play hockey. David Crosby made up a third of the legendary folk rock group Crosby, Stills, Nash alongside fellow founder Stephen Stills and Graham Nash. After the trio performed together in 1968, they discovered their voices harmonized so well and decided to form a full-on band. The timing was perfect. David had just been asked to leave the Byrds, Stephen's band Buffalo Springfield had just broken up, and Nash left his band the Hollies the December prior to meeting his new bandmates. Eventually the trio branched out and invited Canadian treasure Neil Young to be the 4th member, performing as Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They were even a part of the first Woodstock Festival in 1969. At the end of a tour in the mid-70s though, the band split following some tension behind the scenes. They reconciled for the music and have gotten together a few times over the years, sometimes with Young, sometimes without. Throughout it all, David gave 100%, and the music showcased that effort. Unfortunately, earlier this year, Crosby fell ill with a lung infection and passed away in his sleep. Before passing, he had been inducted into the Hall of Fame with his fellow bandmates and will always be remembered for his killer pipes and his thick mustache. Number 2, Bob Barker. In August of this year, the world lost one of the greatest TV show hosts of all time, Bob Barker from The Price is Right. The longtime host of the popular game show passed away just shy of 100 years old. Considering the ages of many celebrities who passed away this year, especially on this list, Bob really deserves a lot of respect. This dude made it to 99, and in that time, he created a career for himself both as a TV host and just as a person in general. Bob made cameos in movies, he appeared on other shows to guest host, and of course was very adamant that we get our cats spayed and neutered. It's worth mentioning that Bob was also a massive animal rights advocate, using some of his money to support animal welfare organizations. So we really should have known more about that. That's pretty cool. And at number 1, Burt Bacharach. Now, my first introduction to Burt Bacharach was at the age of 8 years old when I was watching the movie Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. Austin and his date/fellow agent are enjoying dinner on a double-decker bus in London when Austin gestures, looks at the camera, and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach." Suddenly there's Burt Bacharach playing a massive piano on the back of a bus and singing, "What the world needs now is love, sweet love." Now this moment lives rent-free in my brain all day, every day, and has sparked the most random taste in music that I still have. Who is Lizzo? I don't even know. Give me some Engelbert Humperdinck any day of the week. It's the guy who did the Moon Knight song. That's okay. Of course, Burt was best known by many people for his musical chops. Now, it's been said that Burt was one of the most important and influential figures in the pop music industry since the early 1950s. Over the years, Burt collaborated with several well-respected musicians like Tom Jones and Dusty Springfield. He received 6 Grammys, 3 Academy Awards, and 1 Emmy for his primetime special Singer Presents Burt Bacharach, a live TV taping in which Barbra Streisand appeared. They played music together, discussed their careers and favorite songs. It was great. Burt was tickling the keys till the day he passed, collaborating with many composers and lyricists over the years. He even composed and arranged an original score for a film called A Boy Called Poe at the age of 88 years old. In February of this year, Burt passed away at 94 and closed his piano for good. Between him, David, and Tina, heaven is going to have some pretty solid music this year, that is for sure. And those are 10 celebrities who passed away too soon. If you enjoy the video, please drop a like and follow the channel for more celebrity content each and every day. And thank you for stopping beyond the screen. We'll see you next time.